Today, we're going to talk about the CAPID application, which is for the Advanced Standing Program for DDS. You're more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions in between if you want to. Uh, so, my name is Adriel William. Some of you guys know me, might have seen me on social media. Some of you guys don't know me, but just to briefly tell you, like, why I'm doing this session, who I am. I originally did my BDS from Pakistan in 2013. Then I was doing postgrad residency in oral and maxillofacial surgery until 2016. I moved to US in Maryland, did a master's in health administration, then worked for 2 years in a non-profit. And then I started applying to dental schools in 2020 during COVID. And I applied to about 10 to 15 schools, and I got invites from 5 of them, which was UOP, UCLA, NYU, Indiana, and Colorado. I didn't give interview at UOP because I already got accepted to 4 of them. I ended up going to Colorado. I did my ISP program, which is Advanced Standing International Program from 2020 to 22. After my graduation, I'm working as a GP in Ohio. Beside this, I started making these videos regarding CAPID, interview process, selecting schools, personal statement in 2020. And about I would say more than 1,000 people I know who got accepted one way or another. I helped them either through interview prep, personal statement, supplemental application. There's been a lot of people that I worked with. I put my testimonial on my Instagram a lot of times, so you can watch that. If you have any questions, you can ask me regarding CAPID too. But today's session, I presume most people who are listening to this know the basic of how the licensing work in US. So in order to become a GP or a general dentist in Ohio, in US, you need to give your INBD on National Board Part 1 and 2. You need to give your TOEFL, you need to get EC evaluation, all of these different things. And once you have done those, then you can start applying to school through a portal. There's a website called CAPID. So ADEA CAPID is actually a license. It's I would say it is a mediator between the students like us and the dental school. So what CAPID do is collect all your information, collect all your documentation, your data, and then send it to the schools where you want to apply. All right. If you have any questions, you can write in the message or ask me. But there are about, yes, Dr. Aisha. Do you have a question or okay? All right. So there are about 30 to 40 schools on CAPID right now. The reason, and in future you might see more and more schools jumping in and offering advanced standing program, is because dental schools find it a very lucrative business. And in my videos, I tell everybody that education system, not just in US, throughout the world, is a business. Don't think it's a charity. Don't apply to schools thinking you're asking for charities. You're going to be investing a lot of money. You're going to be spending a lot of money applying to each school. And approximately when you're applying to schools, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to discuss schools with you. And you can ask me questions if you want to. But one thing, a rule of thumb that I tell people, that plan to apply to 10 to 15 schools. I know people who got accepted with one by just applying to one school, but the chances of that is very less. And my suggestion is, if you're going in, go all in. Don't like tap into the water and see if it's wet or not, because every year that you're not doing dentistry in US, you're not making $300,000. And the thing with US dentistry is you want to jump in earlier and you want to come out, like retire as early as possible. But we can discuss that later. But let me share my screens and we can discuss about schools and how should you look at schools when you're applying to them. Plan to apply to 10 to 15 schools at least. If you can afford to apply to more schools, it's better off. The reason I say apply to at least 10 to 15 schools is because the wider your net, the more chances there are to get accepted. When you're applying to just one or two schools, there people say there's a certain level of luck when you're applying to advanced standing DDS program. I don't totally agree, but always there's a rule of opportunity or probability. The more doors you knock, the higher the chance of somebody opening up that door. So, number one rule, when you're applying to advanced standing program, DDS programs, you want to apply to more schools, at least to 10 to 15. The other thing, you want to mentally be prepared. Each school, approximately, when I was applying in 2020, cost about 300 US dollars to apply to one school. The reason you have this cost is because CAPID charges you money when you apply, then the school charges you money to look at your application, and on top of that, even sometimes school will say, send us your TOEFL score again, or send us your like Loma Linda will ask you to send your transcript from India, Pakistan, or wherever you did your dental school. They would want you to send it. So that would require you another $100 to mail it through FedEx. So when I work with candidates, I tell them that mentally be prepared that you're going to spend about $400 per school. So if you're applying to 10 school, that's going to be like $4,000. The reason I'm sharing this bad news is because you want to be mentally prepared that this process is not cheap. The other thing, before I go through this list of schools and discuss some of them, if you're a foreign trained dentist and you're applying to schools, what you want to do is we're going to go through these schools. There are about 40 schools right up here. We're going to discuss them. But if I was you, three things I'm going to look at, which are very important. Number one thing is you want to apply to schools which have the largest number of advanced standing seats. For example, University of Temple only had 10 seats for advanced standing students. Now they increases to 20, while New York, NYU has 28, while Colorado has 40. Boston University have 80 seats. Now imagine if you only have $400 or 500 or $5,000 and you want to apply to 5 schools or 6 schools, you want to keep Boston in there or Colorado because the chances of getting accepted up there would be higher. And what I suggest people is that when you're shortlisting, you can go to this site. You can write on Google, you can take a look. It's called ADEA CAPID directory. You can look at it, and from there you can see. So there's a question. I'll take a look at it and answer this in a few minutes, Dr. Sumaya. In the end, I'll answer your question. So when you go on the website, the first thing you want to do is click on write on Google ADEA CAPID directory. ADEA CAPID is the portal which kind of have all the school where you fill in your application and everything. So for example, right now, if you see this on my screen, you will see that there's the first, and this is alphabetical. So number one thing you want to see is the program size for any school. Now, Missouri is a very small school, and geographically, if you know about America, there's the East Coast and the West Coast. East Coast is New York, West Coast is California. All the big rappers, all the big Hollywood stars either live on East Coast or West Coast. That's how they are divided. Just how you would divide people in Mumbai or Delhi comparatively, or Karachi or Lahore or other big cities. That's how it works. But East Coast and West Coast schools are the two big areas where they have the most universities. And you want to look at schools because in between area like Ohio, like Missouri, have lesser seats. New York, Columbia, Philadelphia, UPenn, they have more universities and more seats. On the Californian side, you will see UCLA, USC, UOP has more seats along with Loma Linda. So Missouri up here, the first thing you want to look at, you want to focus at is look at the program size. Because again, if you're going to spend $400 applying to a school, you want to apply to a school where there are more seats and there are more chances. And one other thing I'll tell you is the schools on the coast, like on the New York side and the California side, offers more F1 visas. there are schools which are in the landlocked area. When I say landlocked areas, you look at the Google map of US, like Kentucky, Ohio, UIC, Indiana, they don't offer you visas. So if you're applying to Oklahoma or UAB, Alabama, they will ask you that, are you a green card holder? If yes, then we will review your application. Otherwise, you're going to waste your money and time. So, number one thing, you want to look at the program size, and the length, I think, also makes a difference. But number one thing is you want to look at the program size. So, up here, I would suggest Boston University has one of the biggest size. I think it's too big. 100 people they take about 100 people. As far as I remember, were 80, but now they listed about 100 people. Their program length is 2 years. So Colorado is 2 year, NYU is 28 months, Missouri is 28 months. So that also makes a difference. For example, you and I both get accepted at the same time, but I'm going to graduate in 24 months and the other person graduate in 28 months. That means that I will be out and working 4 months earlier than other people. That will allow me to start working and making money earlier and pay off my loan. I know right now it doesn't make a lot of sense, but every month you're not working as a dentist, you're losing money in US. So looking at the program length is also important. But in the starting, the number one thing I will prioritize is looking at the program size. Now, the next school is University of Columbia, which is an Ivy League big thing. It is 30 months long and it has 15 seats. One other thing I'll tell you, the most expensive school to apply right now is University of Columbia. The people who graduated from there come out with approximate loan of $500,000, which is like $500,000, and it might go up because the living cost in New York is more expensive. uh, I went to Colorado, and most people who were coming out with an average loan of $300,000. And if you go to UAB, University of Alabama, it would be cheaper because the living cost is less up there. Is this making sense? If you guys have any questions, you can ask me. Meanwhile, before I proceed, I hope I'm making some sense and not creating ambiguity for you guys. Any question? Okay. I presume this is making some sense. I'm not able to look at my comments right now. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Shruti. I just saw that. Okay. So, University of, like, this is one other thing that some people won't even, I know dentists who wouldn't even apply to Columbia because they thought it's super expensive. But in the start, when you're applying to 10, 15 schools, you're going to apply to some schools which are going to be expensive and some schools that are less expensive, but you have to apply. At the start, don't hold yourself back, but just sharing some information. Now, USC is a very good school. Back in 2020, I got accepted up there. I did not go, but if I would have gone anywhere else beside Colorado, it would have been USC, because couple of things. This is one of the school on the New York, on the East Coast. NYU is one of the best schools. On the West Coast, one of the oldest and most recognized school is USC. They have they I from what I've talked to people, USC graduates get to do more clinical things than other people. It's a 24 months program, so that's the shortest program. The student loan, comparatively, people who were coming out with approximate about $300,000 back in 2022-23. But again, it will go up because the rents and the prices go up every year, right? The class size is 34. They have a lot of diversity. So to be honest, Colorado takes, if you go there, you will see a lot of Indians. Consider Pakistanis to be Indian as well, and a few Hispanic and few Middle Eastern. But if you go to USC, you will see the classes are much more diverse up there. And it's not written anywhere, but USC does like people. I'm using the word like. It's not mandatory, but they do like people who have some kind of master's or postgrad. Now, coming to Harvard. Harvard University is in DC. I lived in Maryland, which was very close to this. I worked in Mission of Mercy, where the doctor was from Harvard. I have a YouTube video of a doctor who graduated from Harvard. Uh, and Harvard University is in Washington, D.C. Their class size is actually 10 or less. It could be 6. It's not a very big size. A lot of this school, Harvard University, it's not super expensive. I would say it's not super expensive. This school was actually made to help the African American and the underprivileged community of Washington, D.C. These are very small things, but you should know about these things because they will help you when you're filing or writing the supplemental application. That this school, like Loma Linda, is a school which is very religious. It's based on Seventh-day Adventists and they are very religious. They don't drink alcohol. Now, Harvard University was originally made to uplift and help the African American community of Washington, D.C. area. So it's not super expensive. It's a good school, has about 6 seats. Not many people apply there. Indiana University is close to where I live in the Midwest. I got interviewed up there. I got rejected. This was the only school where I got rejected. I made a video about this on my YouTube channel as well, and I have a couple of friends. Every year, I have 5, 6 candidates who get accepted up there. Uh, this is their class size is smaller, about 15 to 20 people comparatively. The program length is longer. It's 30 months long because they put you in the D2 year, second year. And along with that, it's a little bit costly, but it's a good school. It's not a bad school if you get accepted. But I don't think they offer you an F1 visa. So that's the thing. Like some schools, like Loma Linda, if you get accepted, they will give you an F1 visa. But Indiana University say we don't offer you F1 visa if you're or if you're a green card holder. If you already have your visa figured out, then apply. Don't otherwise don't apply. The same goes for the same goes for UIC. Any question, guys, until now that you want to ask? I hope I'm not speaking too fast. This is making sense to you guys? But if you guys want to ask questions, anything like that, you're more than welcome. I know there's a lot of new people in the group who don't know about me or what I'm talking about. But if you have any questions, you can ask me right now.
Hi, doctor. I have one request.
Sure.
So, thank you for the session, first of all. It's really helpful. And while you are going through each school, if is possible, and if you already know that, if you can mention like which school prefer the residents or U.S. citizen, that would be helpful.
So some of the schools I'll mention as I go down the list. I'll try to mention that, but I'll tell you as a generalized view to look at it. This is a simple formula. Understand, I got this is important. A lot of like immigrants don't see the world in this manner, but the coast everywhere, wherever you have seas and coast and oceans, those cities or those areas are more progressive. Like if you go to Mumbai, if you go to Goa, if you go to Karachi, if you go to Dubai, if you go to New York or you go to California, these are very progressive states. They like immigrants. And what happens, these universities are, if you go to Boston, Boston is also East Coast, Pennsylvania is East Coast, Maryland is East Coast. If you go up there, they are more open to immigrants. They are more open to uh, diversity, right? So these schools have more F1 visa availability. Now, as you come down further, as you come down to landlocked area like Ohio, like Kentucky, uh, Alabama, even Texas, like these schools are mostly green. They want people who are green card holder or who already have visas. Oklahoma, Alabama, UIC, University of Kentucky, Indiana. I can tell you, like, these schools, they will prefer people, they prefer people with green card. So one way to journalize, look at it, look at from the map standpoint, right?
All
Okay.
right. Thank you so much.
But
That was helpful.
yeah, but I'll explain more as I move forward and tell you. So,
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc.
Sure. Dr. Noor, can you tell me which school focus on somebody on B1? So, Doc, B1, B2 visa is a visit visa. Nobody focuses on B1, B2. What I'm the schools in their world, okay, look at this way, Dr. Noor. The schools look at the world through two ways. They don't, first of all, American people, if you ask them, do you know what an F1 or B1 visa is? They will say, no, I don't know because I never applied for one. Now I'm from Pakistan. If somebody comes and ask me, do you know how to get a work permit or work authorization in Pakistan? I will say, I don't know. I grew up with a nationality in Pakistan, so I never applied for a work permit. In the same way, when you go and ask the dental schools, most of them, only except for their department, one department, most people don't even know how the visa system works because they are not immigrant. They were born here. So the schools offer, either they will offer F1 visa or they will say that we prefer residents and people with who already have visa. So they don't care if you're B1, B2, O1, J1, all of these different categories. In their world, there are two categories. One, schools who will offer F1 visas, student visas, and the other category who don't offer it and want you to figure out yourself. Does that make sense, Dr. Noor? So, Doctor, I'm not a. The next question is that can H4 visa can be changed to F1 visa? I might say yes, and next month Trump might change it. So I don't know by the end of the day. I could be wrong because visa policies are so wicked and screwed and they change and they are different for Indians, they are different for Pakistani, they are different for Middle Eastern, different for Venezuelans, Hispanic. So I can't tell you the answer to that. And I don't want to say something which would give you a wrong answer and then you get in trouble. So, as far as I can say, as approximate thing, it can be changed, but you want to have this like figured out with a immigration lawyer. So don't rely because I don't want to give you a wrong information. Does that make sense, Doc?
No, doc. The question is like, when we are applying for the school, are we okay to apply to the school when we are with H4 visa or H4 EAD, whatever, either
I
of the
think
visa,
you
or
are.
do we?
I think you are.
Okay,
You can apply to 10, 15 schools, and but the question they will ask you in that is what kind of visa you have right now. And once you get
okay,
accepted, then I know people who change their H4 to F1.
okay. That is the process. We usually should change to F1 visa, right?
Again, that's your immigration lawyer might tell you better at that time. But
Okay,
once you get accepted, that's when the change needs to be done. Some
okay,
people, their husband or through their spouse, they are applying to green card and they get green card. So it at that time when you get accepted, that's when you want to talk to an immigration lawyer.
okay. Thank you, doc.
Sure. Does this make sense?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Sure.
It does.
Anybody else want to ask question before I move forward? Again, uh, okay, cool. I'm gonna move back to my screen. Let me know if you guys can see the screen, right? You guys,
Yes, we are able to
okay.
see the screen.
Okay. Now coming to Loma Linda. Loma Linda is one of the best, not, but it's a pretty good school because I don't know if you guys know about, I think Tora bin Najat, who's like the endo Dantes, who wrote a very famous book, was from there. The MTA, I'm not an endo guy, but the rest, like the material MTA, was actually invented up there. Overall, it's a pretty solid school. Loma Linda, now understand, Loma Linda is in California. It's a weird name, Loma Linda, right? But Loma Linda is actually not just a school. The whole area is is the inhabited by a subsect of Christianity called Seven Day Adventists. In India, in Pakistan, in some other places, there are schools which are Seven Day Adventists. These are a subsect of, like, I don't want to go into too much religious detail, but in Christianity, there will be Presbyterians, there will be Catholics, then there are Seven Day Adventists. And I've worked with a dentist. I've actually interviewed him on my YouTube channel as well, with the ethical scenarios and stuff. So Seventh Day Adventists are very much strict about eating clean, living clean, and Loma Linda. This is a very important thing. You should know that Loma Linda actually has the highest or the longest life expectancy in US. So older people live the longest in Loma Linda because they live a very healthy life. Uh, the reason is they don't like to eat meat, they don't drink, they go to, like, they are very religious, at least that's what they represent, that they are religious, they have very strong laws and strict about it. They are very much into healthcare, and that's one of the things. And the university overall, they even ask their students to go to chapel classes. When you write their supplemental application, they ask about your spiritual life. That doesn't mean if you're not a Christian, you won't get accepted. A lot of Hindus, Muslims, Sikh students study there every year. They actually like people with different religions. They just want to see that you have a spiritual life and you do believe in discipline. The one thing I'll tell you about Loma Linda, I have a candidate I'm working with who, she's faced this. I suffered this. So Loma Linda is the only school, when you apply, they will say, we want your university from back home in Delhi, in Chandigarh, or whatever, wherever your university is, in Cuba, Mexico, in Pakistan, Iraq. They will ask you that your university should send your transcript in a sealed envelope stamped directly to Loma Linda. Now, your university might be in Iraq and they don't even pick up your phone anymore. And at that time, you might say, or in Iran, and it happened to me that I had to ask somebody, go to my university, and this was COVID, and send it from Pakistan. And the funny thing is, I spent all this money and time, and it didn't reach Loma Linda on time. And the deadline crossed, and my application wasn't reviewed, which is fine. But the reason I'm sharing this story is, when you're applying to Loma Linda and you're going to spend $400-500, you want to make sure that your transcript from India, from Pakistan, from Iraq, Mexico, wherever you're coming from, or Peru, they should reach on time. All right. And let me know in the comment if any country, different country people are attending from, and I'm not taking their name. You can let me know. I know there's a lot of Middle Eastern, Indian, and Hispanic students up here, but if you're coming from a country which I might not know and attending this session, let me know. All right. The next is Louisiana, LSU. Now, LSU have a very small number of seats. It's in the south.
Hi, Doc.
Yep. Yes, doc.
Yeah, Doc, like I have a question for transcripts regarding Loma Linda. So, if we have a sealed copy from our university, can we do from our place
They don't
if we
want
are in
that.
the
No,
US?
no. If they figure that out, they will reject it. They actually want.
Okay.
I thought about this when I was applying, but they rejected. They want it to be coming from, you know how on FedEx it says the sender and the receiver? They actually want
Yes.
it to be sent from university. Yeah, it's weird.
Okay.
And doc, I don't remember each cost. I just said the approximate cost. Oh, you're asking for Loma Linda tuition fee. So I think Californian school, I'll I'll give you a journalized statement that will help you. On average, UCLA, I got accepted to UCLA, USC back in 2021-22 were about $300,000. Colorado was $300,000. Loma Linda is about 350, around that ballpark, and it's going to be increased over years, right? So everything's getting more expensive. So always add that inflation too. UOP is also about 370, 350, approximately that ballpark.
Yeah, doc. And how about the education loan we are gonna get here? So, do we need, like I heard, like do we need assurance from some of the green card holders to get the education loan here?
So, Doc, that's different for every country now. Now,
Okay.
I don't know exactly how it worked for. So, to be honest, I'm going to be very honest about it. When I applied, I first figured out how I'm going to get a green card and then apply, because I was coming from Pakistan, and Pakistani doesn't government doesn't give you student loan. And the money I had, I already had spent on. So I don't know, I've said this a couple of times on my videos. My father passed away when I was in my last year of BDS, and then I started my OS residency, and then in between I got my inheritance money. And I thought, okay, screw it. I was a mad kid at that time. I sold all my inheritance, got accepted to a master's in health administration, and spent most of that money for my tuition fee. Now, after that, I didn't had money to apply to DDS school, and which would I bring about $300,000 money. And so for me, the best way was to figure out a way to get a green card and then apply. Now, I know Indian candidates a lot who were studying with me. Sometimes they get loan from back home. Some people will get a co-signer. I don't know if you have anybody or not. That's something I can't tell you. Some people get private loan, and it varies from countries to country. For Middle Eastern, it might be different. For Pakistanis, it might be different. For people on asylum, it might be different. So that's something you have to play around and figure out what's a good way to deal with it.
Okay, doc. Thank you so much.
Sure. But even before you get accepted, this is mentally okay. What I tell people, this is, I'm going to go back, that if you start looking at all the things that you need to go through, you will overwhelm yourself. This is a very expensive, and it's like a bloody tensing process. It's too much. If you start thinking where I'm gonna get like 400,000 in Pakistan, that would be like 10 crores, 8 crores, something like that. Where I'm gonna get the money, where I'm gonna do this and apply for all of this, and the bench exam and the interview prep, and they overwhelm themselves and their brain shut down. My technique, or what I used to do, is I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm just going to give the INBD. Like, there's a technique called chunking in marathon. So when you have to run 100-mile marathon, you only think about 1 mile at a time. You reach 1 mile, then you go for the next one. Then you go for the next one. So you want to write down whatever needs to be done, but you focus on one thing. So in the start, if you've given all your exams, what you need to focus on is accumulating about $10,000-15,000 to apply to dental schools, because you might need help with bench exam, with interview prep, with applying to school. With if you get an invite, you gotta fly up there, you gotta take a hotel, you gotta live there for a day or two, and then you have to, if you're gonna do preceptorship, that's gonna be expensive. You have to live in a hotel. So at least in the start, you need to figure out, okay, I'm applying to school, I need $10,000-15,000 just to apply to these schools. And one thing I suggest people is, when you're applying, go all in. Like when I was applying, I'm not like applying and then thinking, oh, I'm spending 300, oh, should I do it or not? I believe there's a certain law of attraction in life. When you really want something and you're devoted to it, you eventually get it. That's how most of my life have been, where I started from and where I am now. But to be honest, like when you're in the process, you don't stand in between the sea and see if you're wet. When you're in the sea, you just swim. That's all you care about, that I want to get to the other side. So before you jump in, just think about the applying process, and you have to just take a leap of faith. Otherwise, it will overwhelm the hell out of you, because even after DDS, there's so much you have to deal with. There's so much licensing, money, all the stupid stuff that you have to pay for. But take one step at a time. That's my best advice. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my screen. Any question, guys? You can ask me in between. Okay, so LSU, Louisiana State University. It's in the south. The reason I'm giving you a little bit geographical thing too, because US is very big. It's very 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 big. It's like the state of Virginia is bigger than United Kingdoms. So you need to understand, because US is so, the reason US has the largest number of millionaires is because of the land size. There are certain things which might be very cheap or accessible in one area, but might be very expensive in the other area because of the distance. This sound like a very weird thing, but the time zones are different. Like cigarettes, Marlboro cigarettes. I know there are mostly females who won't understand, but just as an understanding, understand that Marlboro cigarettes in Virginia would be like what, $10 or $8. You go to New York, they are $20 or $18. In the same way, if I get an extraction done in in Alabama, the insurance might cost $78. If I get it done in New York, it might be $200. So, because of the land size, US has different lobbies, different state laws. So, Louisiana is in the south, and the south is a little bit more conservative. It's landlocked. It doesn't have a lot of seat. It takes only green card holders. They are not like NYU. They are not like Columbia or UCLA. But one of the things I'll tell you about LSU or the South, in South school, you get to do more surgery. If you go to coast, East Coast or West Coast, the legal system is very tight. They are very scared to teach even surgical extraction. I go to Alabama for my implant trainings and surgery trainings, and I get to do crazy stuff, sinus lifts, split ridges, really big stuff. IV sedations up there, because people are more open, and I feel they're a little bit more courageous. But LSU is known for the best oral and maxillofacial surgery training in whole of US. Like LSU has, if you want to meet the best surgeons in oral surgery, they are graduates of LSU. But that's a side note I'm telling. Uh, market, uh, market. I've only known people over the past couple of years. They open up 3 seats, 4 seats. The program length is very long. And I think they prefer people with green cards. And how would you get to know what they prefer? So if you, I think if you click up here, it will go into the detail. So if you're applying to 10, 15 schools, my suggestion is click on each of them. All right. Read everything. This is very important. If I was you, I will keep a small notebook with me, and I will write down the detail of each school. For example, this school has approximate size of 5, the length is this, the deadline of opening is up here, the deadline of application is this, there is supplemental fee, and the other thing you want to know is bench exam. Boston University has 100 seats, doesn't take a bench exam. So it's comparatively very easier to apply, and they will just take an interview, give you acceptance. While on the other hand, University of Buffalo, these schools have very tough exams, bench exam, where you have to do very tedious class 2 crown preps, and you need to do a lot of preparation. Then you can click on this website, like for each school, click and read all of this. This is very, 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 very important. You want to read all the requirements, because every school have like they require EC evaluation, personal statement. They want TOEFL scores. Just as I talk about, Loma Linda requires your transcript. So you should know all of this detail. Now they also have a supplemental. I'm just sharing one, like LSU supplemental application. And this is one school. So this is a supplemental application. Can you guys see the screen right now?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
We can see.
So don't get overwhelmed, guys. I know this is a lot of information I'm throwing at you, but this is like their supplemental application is very easy, simple. You fill in all of these blah, 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 signature it and send it to them. Some of them will make you notarize it. Colorado did it. See, it says copy of your green card or permanent residence. So when they say devil is in the detail. When you go into the details, you'll find these things. Then $75 non-refundable, right? And then they do a bench exam and interview prep process. Okay. So again, I did this very diligently when I applied. I went down, looked at because there are. Here's one thing I'll tell you: most people who are applying won't go into these details, and if you do it, you will be better off because you will get to know something that will help you. Even when you get to know about the like the core values of the school or kind of activities they are doing, you can write about those things in your supplemental application and show that you know about the school. If you come to me for some kind of thing that you want to do, like some educational help, and if you know about my work or the things I'm doing, I would like it. I will say, oh, this person has done some homework, some research about me. I would like this student better. So when you're applying to schools, don't be slobbish. Don't be like, do your hard work, do your research, know about those schools. One other thing I'll tell you, a lot of schools are now offering open house days, CE courses, bench exam. Temple University recently is doing it. Pittsburgh do it. USC has some kind of radiology courses. Boston has preceptorship. Colorado, Indiana, UIC has open houses. You want to go and attend those because when they see, I sat in a meeting where they were uh, getting AGD residents. And I asked the program director, I said, what are the things that you look at when you're taking this? And every place is a little bit different. They said, I really like when people came in and did shadowing. I like to see how many times they came in. Now see this, if you get a invite for the bench exam, you have to pay a tuition fee of $2,500, and every school have that. So when you go in this, you can, and it's non-refundable, 250 non-refundable. They said, but all of these small things you have to kind of like go in, and then they will make you do your background check. Well, this school also gives you the tuition fee. All right. So do this homework for each school where you're going to be applying. Does this make sense? Okay. So market is in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is also Midwest. This is not the coast. Same. It's a long program, but if you get accepted, all you need is your DDS. But their program varies because these schools like market, it's called, uh, there is a word they call abrasion or something like that. Like what happens if somebody fails or leave their conventional DDS program and they have an open slot, they will open it up for advanced standing student. Mary is in Tennessee. One of the things I'll say, green card holders could apply here, go visit the school, make connections. If you're going to apply to schools where there are smaller seats, trust me, when it comes to South, if you already live in South or these landlocked area, people are very hospitable. They like to make connections. So if you're somebody and they don't have much diversity, they might only have few Indians or Arabs in that town. So if you go in, you meet them, you're a person who can make connections, they would actually like it. Now NYU is a big school, about 30 to 28 seats. They are saying about 30 to 40, but around 30. Their program length is 28. It's in New York. It's living in New York. I got accepted there as well. Uh, I didn't go because I didn't wanted to live in New York. Uh, and it was a longer program. Colorado is 24. Again, just to quickly show you, they give you a DDS, DMD, DDS, same thing, doesn't matter. So don't worry about that part. They have a bench exam. Nope, they don't take. They they're not. You don't have to be a green card holder to get accepted. So that's a good thing. You need INBD board, TOEFL, supplemental application, EC evaluation, letter of recommendation. They mention one from the dean, two from the other people. TOEFL score requirement is at least 100. They run a background check too, and all of this stuff. So this is how you want to look at eSchool, and then you also click on their website. You go in there, you read all the detail, length stuff. Same. ADAT is not required. ADAT is an advanced exam which people, when people are applying for ortho residencies or something like that, they give ADAT. I never gave it. Some people give it. It's up to them. This is the fee of it. It is highly recommended that all application requirement completed before. Yeah, so they want everything on time. You also want to know the person. Like this is very important. The admission coordinator, one of the most important, if you're listening to this Zoom call right now, one of the key things I'll tell you is that these program admission coordinators are your gateway keeper. When you communicate with them, when you visit them, make good connections. If these people hold a lot of authority, because they are the one who pass all your paperwork. If they remember you, your paper will be moved forward easily, because they get one, most schools are getting 1000 application every year. About 1000 people are applying to dental school. So these uh like Boston person is Tobias, USC is Corey, uh Colorado is they got a new female person. uh she's an immigrant, I forgot the name. But like, you want to know about these people, and if you visit, make good connections with them. Over the recent years, sorry, when I was applying, Nova didn't had wasn't in CAPID, but over the past 2 years they came into CAPID. It has 35 seats, but it's a pretty long program. It is one of the longest program, about 39 months, 4 years about. So I every year I have 3 4 candidates who apply, who get accepted. It's not a bad school. It's just a longer program. You're gonna be paying more money and just that. Rutgers. I have about 2 to 3 friends that I paid who got accepted up there. The one thing I'll tell you about Rutgers, they like a lot of diversity. If you're a Hispanic person, visit them, because their program director is half, I could be wrong, but she's half Cuban and half Syrian, but she's Cuban. And she actually like a lot of Hispanic candidates and encourages them to apply. So they have about 35 seats. It's 27 months. It used to be shorter. They prolonged it. They get a lot of patients. The graduates I've worked with, my friends who are currently studying, who got accepted, they get to do a lot of patients. So I think Rutger is a good school too. Uh, SIU is in Illinois. So Illinois is a state. You have UIC and you have SIU. SIU is in a very small town. They have a small size. It's a good school, not expensive, about 270, 280. Let's see if they take green card holders or not, or only take green card. So you want to go through all of this detail, the TOEFL, INBD. Let's go on their website and see. All they did not state it, but I think they do give F1 visa, but you can confirm it too. Oh, so applicant must be yeah. So they do give F1 visa, so that's good. All right. Temple University, it's in Philadelphia. There's UPenn and Tempo. I made a video on this on my YouTube channel. They have two programs. One program they put you in D2 year, and there is one they put you in D3 year. Recently, they used to had 10 seats. Now they increase their seats to 20. All right. So they increase their seats. Temple University overall, it's a good university. You can look at that too. Okay. I'm gonna look at some questions now. There's a lot of questions. Okay. Okay. So how is the GPA evaluated if both BDS and MDS, if there's special consideration? The answer to that is, I don't know. The EC evaluation is the one that will look at it. The best way is you apply for EC evaluation, and yes, they will require you to submit your BDS and your MDS. whatever education you have done, starting from your high school until now, you will send everything to them and they will do the valuation. And the funny thing is, for every country, it's different. My friends who are Syrian, the candidates I work with, Syrian evaluation they do, they get the lowest GPA in the valuation. And the thing is, even the dentist schools know that ECE evaluation is not uniform for Pakistani, Indians, Hispanics, Syrians. So it can vary a lot. All right. So that's one thing. The other thing is it real that Rutgers don't prefer? No, that's BS. I think every school likes re-applicants. Reapplication means I'm so much in love with you that I'm gonna knock your door every year. That's what it means. The only thing is, if you're gonna knock their door every year, you wanna bring some more roses and chocolates. So if you're gonna apply this year again, did you do something new? Did you make some extra effort, or you just slept a whole year and now you woke up and you're applying again and there's no difference? So the key thing, if you're a re-applicant, you want to show that you have done something encouraging and you have improved yourself and you're somebody who's persistent in hard work. Do schools consider ADAT if the GPA is low? They might, but the funny thing is, a lot of people I know who give ADAT, they end up getting bad score. So report your ADAT if you have a goddamn excellent score. If you have really good score, yeah, report it. If you don't, then don't talk about it. So if you feel like you gave the ADAT and it's really good, it might help. That B might be. I'm not saying it will always, but it might help. So not a bad strategy, but you want to make sure you get good score. You don't want to report. A lot of people get, one of the biggest problem I've seen is that people don't get good score in TOEFL right now. And then they will call me and say, hey, can I give ADAT and get good score? And then they end up getting bad score in that too. My suggestion is give ADAT, but before that, make sure you get to good TOEFL score and another exam. Next question up there, is there any particular number of volunteering hours that needs to be completed? Usually above 100, if you could show, it's better off. All right. Any more questions before I go back? I personally like if it's interactive. I feel like I'm just talking to myself.
Yes.
So if you have any
Yes.
questions,
Yeah,
Doctor.
Doc, I have a question about the volunteering opportunities. Like, so what kind of volunteering opportunities we need to do,
So
and where
I
do we get? Yeah,
yes. Where do you live, Doc?
I live in Texas, in
Okay.
Dallas area.
So
Yeah.
the number one thing is what I tell people is that what you want to do is Google. Look for volunteer opportunities around, because the thing about US is, if you live in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, the only thing you might have near you is a church, right? So
Mhm.
first of all, see if there's any Mission of Mercy, if there any Red Cross, if there's any big volunteer organization. And in Dallas, of course, there would be. Dallas is a mega city. So find, just Google, and if you can find any community work, Mission of Mercy, Texas, something like that, just apply and do it. If you don't find something small. Find a church, find a synagogue, find something with US Army, find something with HIV patients, some food pantry. You can volunteer in your tempo, but it's not strong enough. Like, I'm a Pakistani coming from Pakistan and now I'm working with Pakistani community. It's fine.
So,
Volunteer work is
so
volunteer work.
those volunteer work need to be in a documentation form, or do we need to submit, or it has to be only in our
Usually they
resume?
don't ask you for documentation, but usually they don't ask. But here's, somebody asked me this question too. Imagine if I call my church or a Red Cross or somebody and say, hi, I'm gonna come and volunteer. Will you give me a letter? They will say, well, are you coming here to do good or are you just coming here to get a letter? In the start, I would say just go and volunteer and make good connections with people. When they will see that you're somebody who comes in and help, and after a couple of weeks, you say, I'm applying to dental school. Will you be able to help me out? Like if they ask a question or so or some documentation, they will surely say yes, no problem. But most programs like Mission of Mercy, they require you a certain hours, number of hours before they can give you a letter. But most of them do.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Actually, like, can I share like something? Like, I completed my Master of Public Health recently. So, as a part of program, I did my internship like in non-profit organization where they worked on oral health project for doing in-home dental visits for disability population. So, I had worked on that. So, can I include that as an internship
In your
opportunity and
person,
all?
you can mention that in your personal statement, but keep doing more volunteer work. It's not bad if you even go once a week or once a month. You don't have to put a
Okay.
full stop that just because I did it in my master's, I'm not doing any other volunteer work from now on. I've done my part. You can still do
Okay.
more. Like, it's never bad. Like, you're doing it for the people too, right?
Yes.
Doctor,
Doctor, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Thank you so
uh,
much. Too.
Okay. Now from now on, every question is $5. All right. I'm joking. I'm joking. Okay. Yeah. What's up?
Doc, as you mentioned that if we volunteer in our religious place, it wouldn't be a strong thing. But as you mentioned before, Loma Linda is more towards religious. Will that actually
Okay,
help
Doc, it's
working
common.
in?
Okay, let me answer this. It's common sense. Like, think about it. Just think from a human perspective. If a Khan comes to you with a letter, if my name is Adriel Khan, for example, and I'm coming to you with a letter written by Umar Khan saying that Adriel Khan did a lot of volunteer work with us, we are very happy, he's a very good person. On the other hand, Adriel Khan comes with the letter saying from Charles Douglas Moorhead, somebody like that, saying that he came to our institution and worked with us and we really liked it. Who will you find more credible? Just think from that perspective. It's not bad to work in your own religious organization, but also remember that as immigrants, we can get fake letters. And the schools know this too, that they have connection within their own people and the credibility is not good enough. So by when you're thinking about religious, you're thinking about, so if you work with Mission of Mercy, it's a non-profit that is a religious institution too. What I'm just saying, if you have the opportunity, do work with organizations which are more recognized internationally or recognized throughout US. Now you might say, I don't have the opportunity, I don't drive, the only thing near to me is a temple. Go ahead, good, do that. It's not wrong. I'm just saying it's all comparative, it's all subjective. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you. It
So there's
does.
no right and wrong. You can make your own goddamn non-profit and say I've worked in my own organization. You're just saying, like, I'm saying is fine if you have a bigger opportunity, more recognized one, do that on number one. Okay, Dr. Aisha, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I want to ask about the previous thing that you mentioned, that about the you said that it's good to be in connection with the admission coordinators, and if you can visit the school and be in touch with them anyway. So my question is, I'm always confused about it, like how to actually get in touch with them if we cannot visit that school, and if we want to visit their school, like if we can, then what is the right way to approach them to ask, like, so
So, Doc,
we
it's
don't
very
sound.
hard for me to write. Like, I make a lot of videos on communication and stuff, but it's very hard for me to explain right away. But imagine you're an admission person for University of Taf and I'm a candidate. I'll just say, hi, Miss Aisha. My name is not even my name. I'm a foreign trained dentist from Pakistan. In the past, I was doing residency in oral and maxillofacial surgery, but did a master's afterward. I've been working for 2 years and I'm currently exploring into the probability of applying or exploring into the opportunity of applying to advanced standing program and got to learn that your institution provides a very well-rounded program, and I wanted to ask if there is any opportunity to visit your program and learn more about it, or any kind of Zoom call. Thank you for your time. That's how I would write it. Now, if you want, now the candidates I work with in fellowship, so every year I do a fellowship with 5-7 people where I help them writing emails, writing personal statement, preparing them for interview and everything. That's when I sit down and help each person how to send emails to school, how to communicate. Because one thing I'll tell you, these program directors, they were freaking rude to me when I was applying. And I was somebody who was already working for 2 years in a non-profit in US. And I was like, why the hell like you're treating me as shit? To be honest, they treat you as shit. I was like, why, who gives you the right to talk to me like that in my head? But then I realized because the foreign trained dentists who are applying to these schools write, like, first of all, they write emails or communicate in a very annoying way, and they are very desperate. And these people who are admission coordinators are not even dentists. They are people who just did an undergrad and got a job, and some of them might be younger than you are. And then foreign trained dentists are literally begging them, hello sir, can you do this please, thank you very much. And then they realize they start treating us really bad. So one thing I tell people is learn to communicate well. I'm not saying be disrespectful, but be professional, be straight to the point, and just ask if they can help you. Good enough. Not, I'm going to go and knock another door. That's it. So i I can't write emails for you right now, but this is my approach to looking at things. And I'll just ask if God is supposed to give me, He will. But I'm not relying on human beings by the end of the day. But yeah, professionally communicating does matter.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sure thing, doc. You don't need to call me sir, but it's fine. I'll take it as a compliment. But okay, the next question is how to make your profile attractive to increase, put some lipstick on it, I'm joking. How to make your profile attractive to increase the acceptance of fresh graduates, especially in California. So I'll tell you a funny thing, doc. When I was applying to schools, so I did a lot of visits to schools, and I went to UIC open house, and I forgot the name of the program coordinator. She's Hispanic. It's a very difficult name, at least for me to remember. She's a Hispanic person, and some young fresh graduate asked.
Martha?
No, not Martha. It's something. It's a different Hispanic name. I'll. But the point is, somebody asked her. I'm a fresh graduate. If I apply, the chances of me are getting less, and other people get accepted. She said, to be honest, we prefer people with 2 to 3 years of experience. And if you're fresh graduate, get in the line, because there are people who have more experience and have been applying, they get preference. But every year, every school do. I worked with a lot of candidates who were fresh graduate and who got accepted. That's very common. In my class in Colorado, there were so it doesn't mean you won't get accepted. They prefer people with some clinical experience. But if you don't, you can still get accepted. What you can do is get really good scores in your exams. That's one way. Then the way you write your personal statement, your volunteer work, your communication, and you can tell them that, yes, I don't have enough clinical skill, but I've been doing this work, I've done volunteer work, and I'm somebody who's a good student and teachable, and I'm willing to adapt as needed. And if they see, okay, this is a fresh blood, but very adaptable and can communicate well, they might give you a chance. So, and I posted more videos. Maybe I'll share it in the WhatsApp group regarding how you can improve your profile. Does that make sense, Dr. Smaya? So, Dr. Margi is asking which schools are on rolling basis. So, when you go in the application, so first of all, let me explain what rolling basis is. So schools, dental schools, some of them will say when you apply to us, we will look at your application on first come first serve basis. Like Boston, the earlier you apply, the first they will look at your application and send you an invite for interview. They do that. That's a rolling interview. And then there are schools like UOP, Loma Linda, UCLA, USC, which are non-rolling. They say we will let everybody apply till the deadline, and then we will open up the box and look at all the application. Those are non-rolling. To as a rule of thumb, the Californian school are non-rolling. Rest are most of them are rolling. But when you go on the website, I'm going to go back to this. When you go on the CAPID website and you read, you will see most of the school will tell you which are rolling and not rolling. The next school I would talk about is University of Iowa. I only had two candidates that I ever prepared for Iowa University interview, but they because their seats are very less. It's 30 months. I think they only take green card holder, but you can look at it. Toro about have 8 to 10 people. I prepared people for their interview. Some got accepted last year, but overall it's a good school. It's in New York, and they prefer people who are in New York. NYU, Columbia, and Toro actually like people who live in New York. Tough is a very good school. Every year I have people I prepare for interview. Dr. Perry is their program director. You can Google him up, YouTube him. He's a very interesting character. He's a very smart person. But they don't have a bench exam. In the previous year, they only used to take green card holders. Now they give F1 visa so more people can apply. Buffalo is a goddamn good school. It's a very good school. It's not expensive, 250, 270, have 24 seats, not lengthy, but it's a very, very strict school. They make you work very hard. It's very cold in Buffalo, upstate, just to let you know, but definitely a good school. Alabama, I think it's a good school, 30 months program. Class size is small, a lot of diversity. Living is not super expensive. You come out with 270, 300,000. UCLA, I got accepted there, did not go. Have good friends who graduated from there. It's about 2 years, 30 class size. UCLA, it's a UCLA. It's a party school, to be honest. LA, it's known for a party school. They don't get a lot of. I'm saying this on recording, but they don't get a lot of a lot of patients. It's a research school, so a lot of students are sharing patients. Um, Along with that, Dr. Stevenson says this to student that they like to give admission to good-looking student for some reason. It's like a yo cool school. That's what I call. UCSF, it's a good school. It's 36 months of program, which is kind of long, but it's very focused on research. So if you've done research I've never done research, I got accepted to 4 schools. UCSF is a very strong school. They like to get people who have visited their school, people who have done research or affiliate. And this is my school, my alma mater, University of Colorado, 40 seats, 24 months. It's very intense. They make you do a lot of things in 24 months. Colorado is a good place to live. Culture is nice. People are nicer. You get mountains, you get snow, a lot of sunshine. Uh, People are nice. Marijuana is legal. Don't smoke, but you get a lot of patients who are marijuana addicted. So I think overall, Colorado is a good deal for foreign trained dentists. University of Florida, I've never met many people. I prepared one for interview. They have a class size of 2 and they have a program length of 48. So you can read about it. UIC is a big school. Now, if you're a green card holder, visit them. They like people with dental assisting experience. They like people from Midwest Chicago area a lot. Michigan people get accepted. A lot of Middle Eastern community get accepted up there. The program length is 28. It's goddamn expensive. It's like 450, $500,000 program, but it's a good school. Big. Go to their open house on their website. They have an open house. Register for it. Louisville is in Kentucky. It depends on their. I tried reaching out to them when I was applying. Their seats vary a lot. They can vary every year. UMich is a very, 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 very good school. It's one of the best top ranking dental schools right now. Uh, they take ADAT. One of the key thing is their bench exam is tough. They take an MMI and like they want to see your ADAT score. Minnesota, it's a good for a lot of Canadians who are listening to this. Minnesota is a good school because Minnesota has a deal or some kind of policy with Canada that if you study in Minnesota, you can get Canadian license too. The program size is small, is 29 months, but I would say this is a good school. It gets a lot of patients. Uh, they do an MMI interview too. If you want to know what is an MMI type of interview, my YouTube channel has a lot of videos. Kansas City, I had somebody apply and got accepted. Two people up here, Missouri, Kansas. It's Doc, can you mute? Doc, सिल्वर वाली वो नीचे गिरी उससे उसकी थोड़ी वो होगी कि वो गिरे आ रहा है हां चलने से okay we got okay I muted you all right so again
Doc,
20
can you
yes.
mention about Minnesota school a little bit? Because I hold my Canadian permanent residency, so I want to know about that school.
Well, in order to know more, you gotta click here, Doc, because I have some information. I won't know all of it. So
Okay.
they give F1 visa. I had a few Middle Eastern candidates who got accepted. A lot of people from is right up here. What I said. If you can you see my screen?
Canadian dental profession. Yeah, I see it.
Yep. So if you pass from there, it facilitates you to get your Canadian visa too. So they actually prefer Canadian people, Canadian citizens. They do who require F1. You can get F1 visa through them. Except for that, going to their website. But the main thing is the Canadian that you can work in. You can get Canadian license too if you study from there. And they prefer Canadians. But these are some details you want to see. You want to go in and read all of these like detail. I can't go into too much detail. So yeah, look into all of the details. Minnesota have a lot of things. They have dental therapist. Minnesota state laws are a little bit different. They started dental therapist. All of these blah blah. You can read these things. They have a lot of Sudani refugees and immigrants up there that they work with. They do a lot of non-profit. It's a community work. That's the only dental school in the whole state, and it's bloody cold up there. But again, you can read on Google more. Nebraska, Nevada, these are small size school. Again, if I'm applying, I'm going to apply to schools with the bigger chairs, right? I haven't heard much about University of New England. UNC Chapel Hill is a good school, but the program size is small, but it's a good school. They like people with research. Oklahoma, it's 29 months. It's an expensive school, but they like people with green cards. They prefer people. And overall, yeah, it's a good, if you're a green card holder, apply to Oklahoma. UPenn, the big dogs. UPenn is on the East Coast, Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, actually. It is 29 months long, 35 seats. They like to see dental assisting experience. They give F1 visas, and they like to see if you're assimilated in the American system, if you know the American system, and they look at your clinical experience. Reach out to them, talk to them. They look at your GPAs and stuff too. Pittsburgh is a good school. I like it. Pittsburgh is a small town affected by a lot of poverty, but the school is good, has a lot of people are nicer. 24 months, not a long program, but their seats are 8 to 10. Puerto Rico, I've never met many people from there, so can't say. UOP, I did an interview recently from a graduate, a friend. I got an invite from there. I never gave the interview because it was 5 days. The class size is big. This is a good school you want to apply. program length is short. These are the kind of schools you want to apply. Boston and UOP likes candidate who have connections inside the school. If you have an alumni or a current student who knows you, these schools prefer you. Colorado doesn't like this kind of crap. Don't try to give connections and contacts in other schools. The only school I know is UOP and Boston. Washington is a good school, very research based. They have a very uh, tedious bench exam where they make you do an endo, crown preps, class two, all of that kind of stuff. San Antonio is a good school. I think it does give you a F1 visa. I have one German candidate that I worked who got accepted up there. VCU has a small number of seats. It's a long program in Virginia, and then the Western University. It's a good school too. There might be few other school that might be out there, but what you wanna do. My job is to give you an idea. You go into the detail, you read about it, you get to know more about it, and gather more information on YouTube, on their website. Try talking to students as well. Now there are some questions. And you guys can unmute and talk. I think I've talked enough. My throat is going crazy now. Could you give advice what I need to do to get accepted? I applied to 10 school. I got 3 interviews, 2 waiting lists. I got rejected. They don't tell you what you know. So, Doc, I don't know how to pronounce your name. How do you pronounce your name, Doc? Okay. I presume, I don't know if you're here.
Suzel.
Suzel. Doc, where are you originally from?
I'm from Cuba.
Okay. Oh, cool. You're from Cuba. I have a couple of friends actually. I have a good number of friends from Cuba. So
That's great.
couple of things I'll tell you. Look at this way. There are stages. When you write your personal statement, I would definitely suggest do visit Rutgers. If you're from Cuba, I have some Cuban friends who graduated from there, but do visit there.
I did apply for Rogers, but they didn't call me for interview.
What you want to do is email Dr. Burrows or email their program and visit them before. That makes a lot of
Okay.
what I tell people. I'll answer you first, and then I'll tell you something else. Your paperwork, the way you write your personal statement, your supplemental application, and its job, this paperwork you send, its job is to make your paperwork look good and get you an invite for bench exam and interview. Once you get an interview, the paperwork is now on the side. Now I want to talk to you and see your communication, see what kind of a person you are, and evaluate you from there, and then write my comments and give it to the admission committee. So if you're getting invite, that means your paperwork is doing fine. There is something that needs to be improved in your interview. That's my probable guess. You can do is you can look on the YouTube. I made, like, since past 4 years, I've made a lot of videos on YouTube for free, ethical scenarios. Tell me about yourself, your strength, your weakness. You can watch these. If you get another invite, reach out to me. If you want a one-on-one mock interview preparation, I do that too as well. It's paid. We can figure out that, or if I can give you some other advice, I would. But if you're getting invite but not getting acceptance, most probably it's somewhere in the communication interview part. And reach out to me next time you have something like this, and we can talk more in detail about it. Make sense, Doc?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Doctor. I did watch a lot of video from YouTube channel and did like a couple mock interview with a couple doctors, but I don't know. Like maybe
Oh,
I
well,
didn't do well in my.
I don't know about the doctors, but if you work with me, I can try to help you out. Okay.
Okay.
Again,
Thank you so much.
sure thing. And the people who are watching this, I highly encourage them, when you get in an interview, invest as much as you can, because it's pretty much you're like standing in the door and somebody needs to give you one push and you will enter. So if you're getting invite, your application is good. You just need some help polishing up your communication skill, and that should help you. By the end of the day, it's God who give you the decision. It's up to God. So
Exactly.
you want to go in and do your best. You don't want to have any regret. Oh, I wish I could have done that. You want to go in. My job during interview, I tell people, is that I'm going to make sure you enjoy talking about yourself in the interview. Now, what happens as a result, that's up to God to decide. But our job is to make you feel good when you talk about yourself. Okay. Now, coming
Thank
to
you
the
so much, Doctor.
sure thing, reach out to me if you need more help. I'll try to
I
follow.
will.
So next question
Doc,
is Doc.
what about, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead now.
Yeah, Doctor, what about we are receiving emails from the colleges saying that your application is still under consideration and
Then
not
you
getting
go
any
to the
response?
temple. Then you go to the temple and pray. That's what I can tell you. Well, if you already, what I'm doing, Doc, right now, I'm preparing you for the next application. What has bygone, bygone. I can't give
Yeah,
you recipe how to time travel and change things, and how to, once the bullet is out of the gun, I can't tell you how to bring it back or change it. Now, if they are
yes,
saying it's in progress, it's in progress. Now you leave destiny or God to decide, and you keep working hard and improve the things that you can.
yes, Doc. Thank you so
One
much.
thing I'll tell you, I work with people in fellowship. I made videos on this. That one of the key things you need to understand is that there is some, there are only certain things you can control as a human being, and you want to focus on them. You don't want to try to wish, oh, why school is doing this, why my friend is getting accepted, why somebody else got accepted, and even though their profile is weak, and what happened, maybe I will never become. Screw all that crap. What you want to do is just focus on the few things every day. Focus on one thing that you can improve, and keep your head there. I was reading a book recently on how to stop worrying and start living your life, and that is, you want to airtight your day. You don't want to live in the past or the future. You want to live in today. I'm right now on this call. I'm talking to you, and my head is there, not thinking about the tomorrow YouTube video that I have to post, right? So I need to even push myself and stay in the present. And that's one advice I'll give you. It will make things a lot better for you. It will help you manifest things. It will help you get what you want, and it will keep you sane. Otherwise, this is too stressful. Okay.
Yes, Doc. Like I need like one more advice. Like we need to focus more on volunteering or shadowing. Like what do you
Both.
advise?
Both.
Both.
Doc, if
Okay.
you're you're talking like you don't have much to give. If I was you, I would be doing a third thing along with this. You might have family responsibilities or something like that, but you can't like say, oh, just because I'm doing this, should I do that or not? At your level, you should be doing seven things. You have to do it.
Yes.
Beggars can't be
Yes.
choosers, and you can't be so much like savvy about saving everything. You need to go and invest right now.
Okay,
So
Doc. Yeah.
do
Thank you so
as
much.
much as you
Yeah.
can. So the
Okay.
next
Thank you so much.
question is short thing, Doc. Is I received a call from UIC saying that I'm next in line for the wait list, and if the seat becomes available, what are the chances of getting accepted with the orientation on January 7th? So, Doc, I do palm reading it. So if you send me a picture of your palm, I'll look at it and let you know what are your chances. I'm joking. In the Again, you are asking me things that are beyond human control now. Now somebody might skip, like reject or decline. Somebody might get sick. Somebody's visa might get delayed, and they might send you an invite. Maybe they won't. I can't tell. That's up to God to decide. What you want to do is let God do His work, and you do your work. So I don't know what the chances are. I don't do magical stuff anymore in my life, but what you want to do is focus on positive things in your life. One thing I'll tell you, when you're thinking positive, you're working on productive things and not worrying about crappy things you can't control, positive things will happen to you. So focus your energy. We have limited time every day, and if it's supposed to come, it will come from here or there, because my my thought process in this is, when God is going to give me, He's going to rain it down from heaven or bring it out of the earth. He will give it to me. It's not my job to worry where it's going to come from. My job is to be grateful for Him, what He has given me right now. That's it. I'm just going to try to behave better and be grateful for what I have and let Him decide wherever He wants. Don't try to play God because He doesn't like it. He likes to do things his own way. So you let him decide when it's going to come and how it's going to come. You just be grateful and just pray that whatever his plan is, if you're getting this kind of email, you will get an acceptance. But I'm going to speak something in Urdu. There's a saying, वक्त से पहले और जरूरत से ज्यादा नहीं मिलता. You won't get things before your right time and then more than you deserve. So wait for that and just focus on the things that you can improve. The next question is, Doc, you talk a little about AGD residency, if they are different from residencies. Is it a good idea to do that before you apply to someone? It is a good idea to do that before applying for someone who has no clinical. Look, I don't. So, a couple of things. AGD or any residency are residencies where you apply after dentist. So, if a local kid does DDS and wants to learn more, he will apply to residency. It could be ortho residency, oral surgery residency, AGD residency, GPR. GPR and AGD are general dentistry residency. If you want to apply, go ahead, apply. The chances of getting accepted to AGD is way more tough than DDS. DDS, there are 1,000 people applying, about 300-400 people are getting accepted. But AGD program is mainly for local kids, local DDS students. So you want to apply, you can, but the chances of getting accepted to AGD, people do get accepted, but it's comparatively less. Dr. Noor is asking, I'm doing preceptorship in Boston in the coming March. How do I just make good context, do what you're supposed to do, and be positive up there, and just make connections. I just learn to have better emotional intelligence, be a good team player. Yeah, just be positive. That's what I can tell you. The next question, if we are working as a registered dental assistant, does it yes, talk. Dr. Zone, watch my videos, talk. Yes, it does help. One of the biggest thing dental schools prefer if you have done dental assisting in US. So a lot of these schools will give you admission if they see you have done dental assisting. So yes, keep doing it. What is the best type of report? Few before CAPID starts? You can order reports as soon as possible. I don't know the exact answer, but just order it in before March, and CAPID wants it at March. So order like 2 weeks before that or a week. Dr. Khan is asking, do you have any advice that I should contact Boston as they send rejection, but I haven't received ones? Doc, if they haven't sent you anything, that's a rejection. I didn't get a rejection too, but it was. If you don't get a invite or a waiting, consider it to be a rejection. That's the rule of thumb. They don't have to. 1,000 people apply every school. They don't send email to everybody, say you're rejected, you're rejected. If you don't get an acceptance or a wait list, consider it a rejection. Focus on, you can email them and not try, you can maybe call them if you want to, but 90%, 98% of the time, if you didn't receive anything, it's a rejection. Okay. Any other question, guys, before my throat gives up? If you want to ask some questions, you can ask me. If you guys are looking for help in the next application, I do work with 5 to 6 people every year that I completely. So what the fellowship is candidates who need help in writing personal statement, resume. People say, rather than paying you individually, can you help me throughout the application until I get accepted? So what I started doing is that I help them in their resume, writing emails to school, picking which schools to apply, help them with uh, supplemental applications, with Casper, Kira talent assessments, interview prep, pretty much everything. The only thing I don't help with is a physical bench exam prep because I can't teach that you on Zoom or phone. So I prepare you for everything and I work with you until you get accepted. This fellowship is it's a little bit expensive, but I will be helping you with every email, every supplemental application question, every interview you get. I will be working with you. I had students that I worked with who got accepted at NYU, other places. I'll try to do an interview, post it up. You can hear to their testimonials. But if you're interested in that or you just need help with the interview prep, you can reach out to me and let me know. Uh, Somebody asked a question. Can you advise how to deal with anxiety through the entire process? Uh, Beat your spouse if you have one. I'm joking. Uh, I don't know. There's a lot of different books. Meditation helps, doing exercise. This is, if you guys think CAPID is stressful, wait for dental school. And if you think dental school is stressful, wait for dental jobs. If you think dental jobs are stressful, wait to become an owner. So everything's freaking expensive, stressful in dentistry. US, uh, as soon as money is involved, everything's stressful. You need to meditate. I would definitely suggest. You need to understand what I've learned recently. Life is a freaking journey. You're gonna die either way. Whether you become a dentist, not become a dentist, what will matter by the end of the day? So consider this to be a train which is stopping at different spots, and your job is to enjoy every stop that the train is taking. Whether you're miserable, whether you're failing, whether you're laughing, it is your present day and it's not going to come back. So you want to enjoy it and live in the present. There are a couple of different books. One book was How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Read that, Dale Carnegie. It's a good book. Meditation helps a lot. Doing exercise, yoga, lifting weights, having good friends, and knowing that you're not supposed to be a superman. Maybe your job is just be an average person, maybe being an average dad, average mom, maybe you're supposed to be a dentist, maybe you're not. You won't die if you won't get accepted. And sometimes not desiring too much allows you to get things. If you're not so, I've learned one thing: when you're too desperate, opportunities run away from you. If you're desperate about being with that person is going to run away. So you want things, but you want to be calm in life, and the more calmer you are, the more you track things. So it has worked with me. I come from Pakistan and I've reached a point where now I'm doing good in my GP work. I get to do a lot of surgery. I'm living in a house. I got my Porsche, whatever. Eventually, you get there, but you want to learn to calm yourself down because CAPID won't kill you. But if you look at the overall stress in life in US, I deal with so many patients. I've mainly worked with patients who are dealing with opioids and they get drug addicts, a lot of stress. So you want to deal, especially in females. So work on it early on. Uh, so how much is the fellowship for? It's doc, for the complete thing, like working from A to Z. It's at this moment right now in December 2024. I charge $500,000 and you can pay in installments. You don't have to pay the whole thing. I know it sounds a lot of money, but I will work with you in your application until you get accepted. My job is to get you accepted as soon as possible. So my job is done. But for any reason, if you don't get accepted right away, I will work with you until you get accepted. And I would be working on your every personal statement, every writing documents, every email that you write, every Kira talent assessment, even if you have a virtual bench exam, if you have an interview prep, an MMI, PBL, problem based learning, every step guiding you on schools and regarding that. The only thing I don't work is the bench exam part physically because I can't do that. And if you're interested, you can reach out to me maybe next year. Before the cycle, I will increase the prices. But if you're interested to do it, the way I can help you is break down the payments into some installments, and you can look into that. Okay. Any last questions before we leave? Okay. All right. I presume I was able to help you guys. The people who are hearing me for the first time, you can see I speak a lot, but I hope you get to learn something from me. There's a lot more content on my YouTube, on my Instagram. If you haven't seen, I've been doing this for 4 years, and you might think I speak a lot, but I've gone through a lot of different experiences in my life. I've done a lot of stupid stuff and maybe some good stuff too in my life, which has taught me. I've worked with a lot of candidates every year. I work about with whether it's interview prep, personal statement. I've worked with about 300 people, and I get to learn from their mistakes. I get to learn from their successes, and that's what I'm trying to incorporate and provide it to the students I'm working every year now. So I hope it helps, and do work on your stress. That's an important thing. Uh, can you repeat the cost? The voice got cut off. Oh, the voice got cut off at the good place. So I charge $5,000 for the complete fellowship as of now in December 2024. The price would increase in the next year. You might feel it's expensive, but for writing a personal statement, I charge $500 right now. For interview prep, it's 500. So if you add up all the work, all the time, whether it's writing your personal statement, picking schools, helping you with email, like if you have any issues, you can text me, and I'm in directly coaching you until you get accepted. So, but one thing I tell people is you want to control your stress, and you want to be you want to know what you want. Write down a journal, write down a checklist. That's one of the things I do with my fellowship candidate. I send them a list, I send them a document, to write down your goals, write down the things you want to improve and where you want to be in life, because I think it really helps. And when I'm writing personal statements, I listen to their story, I write a draft, I send them. I want them to read it and give me a feedback, written feedback. Then I work on it, fix things, send it back. And we do this back and forth until we make a story which they like. And then we go from there. Okay, you can reach out to me, doc. And should we reapply a school where we got? Oh, yeah. Schools love if you reapply. They like your persistency. They like people who are persistent, but you want to show that you have done something which is good, like you have done to something to improve. Okay, guys, I think my throat is going to give up anytime soon. How many installments we have for the payment, doc? I can work with you. You can reach out to me, and I can help you out to figure out how we can make a payment plan for you. Uh, how to connect masters with. Okay, well, one last. This is the last question I'm going to answer. So you can connect your masters in my. If you watch my interviews, I've talked about this a couple of times. There's a lot of. You will find a lot of your question being answered in the videos I posted, a lot of information in detail. But you can always mention that during your master's, you got to learn about healthcare administration, you got to learn about insurances, how to communicate, you got to learn about HIPAA, you got to learn how to talk to your peers, your faculty, how to use technology, and overall, it will make you a better student and a dentist in the US. Okay, all right. This was these questions. If you want to attend more free sessions like this, I will plan to do it. Stay connected on my Instagram or in the WhatsApp group or Facebook or the YouTube. I'll post up there. I'll be doing more sessions, and hopefully I'll wish you all the guys best and take care.